It happened on a Tuesday. I was in my home office finishing some deadlines when a notification flashed on the family tablet we both used. It was a text message that had synced over from my fiancée Claire's phone. We hardly ever touched that tablet. It mostly lived on its charger in the corner, but for some reason I looked over at exactly that moment. The message was from her mother. Her mother. Any progress getting him to open up about the loans? And then, right as I stared at the screen, Claire's reply appeared live. Not yet, he keeps dodging it, but don't stress. I'll have him committed before the wedding. The second he clears them, I'm out that I just froze. The words looked fake, like my mind was rejecting them outright. I've spent my whole career as an architect obsessing over precision, load-bearing walls, how every piece has to align perfectly, and in one sentence the entire framework of my future collapsed. Out. The second he clears them, it wasn't sarcasm. It wasn't a prank, it was a strategy. Cold, calculated, and merciless. My first instinct was pure fury. I wanted to hurl the tablet across the room. I wanted to storm into the living room where she was giggling at some sitcom and unload 2 years of betrayal in one volcanic roar. But then a different feeling slid in, like ice water in my veins. This wasn't something you scream over. You scream when there's still something to salvage. Whatever we had was already rubble. All that remained was controlled demolition. I pulled out my phone, photographed the screen, emailed the pictures to myself, then calmly opened the full thread on the tablet and scrolled upward. She'd been sloppy, so confident that her predictable, trusting fiancé would never check. It was all there, months of it. A meticulously crafted scam, orchestrated by her mother, designed to trick me into wiping out Claire's $150,000 art history student loans. Texts from her mom with exact scripts. Don't push too hard. Frame it as our future together. Tell him you can't relax until you're both starting clean. Cry if needed. He'll feel responsible. Claire's responses. He's so wrapped up in wedding details. Perfect timing. I actually feel guilty sometimes. He's genuinely decent. Her mom firing back. Guilt is a luxury you can't afford. This is about your life, not his. The worst ones were about the exit plan. What happens after? I can't just vanish the day the loans are gone. Her mom, you stay 12 months minimum. Keep up appearances. Then you realize you've grown apart. By that point the debt is erased, the money is untouchable, and you're free. A flawless exit strategy. For 2 years I thought we were designing a home. She thought she was running a long con. I closed the app, walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water with a hand that didn't shake once. She was still sprawled on the couch. Hey babe, she called without looking up. You okay? You've gone quiet. Just thinking about a deadline, I answered. My voice was perfectly level. It might have been the calmest I'd ever sounded. She believed she was 3 moves from checkmate while I hadn't even noticed the board. She had no clue I'd just seen every square, every piece, every feint she had planned, and I was about to kick the table into splinters. Update 1: the next 14 days were the most surreal of my life. I didn't confront her. Not immediately. A confrontation would have meant hysterics, crocodile tears, promises, bargaining, chaos. I don't do chaos. I do precision. Clean lines. Finality. First I preserved everything, screenshots, full exports of the conversation. Then I quietly audited our finances. She lived in my house. I paid the mortgage, the utilities, the taxes. She drove a car titled in my name. I covered her insurance, her phone plan, every vacation, every nice dinner. Her modest gallery salary was fun money. My income was the entire operating budget of her lifestyle. I'd been bankrolling a leech that planned to drain me one last time and disappear. My attorney, Frank, a man who eats ambiguity for breakfast, laid it out plainly. As a fiancé, she has zero legal claim to your house or pre-relationship assets. Your only exposure is if you voluntarily hand over 6 figures. Their whole scheme collapses the moment you refuse to pay. So, you're going to agree to pay. That was the trap. Let her believe she was winning, walk her all the way to the finish line, let her smell victory, then yank the floor out from under her so violently she'd never see ground again. So I started the performance. A few nights later, while we cooked, I let out a heavy sigh. I've been thinking about what you said, about the loans, about starting our marriage with a clean slate. She spun around, eyes shining with rehearsed hope. You have. I don't want that cloud hanging over us, I said. It's my wedding gift to you. I'm going to clear them completely. She immediately burst into theatrical tears, flung her arms around me, told me I was the most incredible man on earth. She called her mom right there in the kitchen. I heard the shrieks of triumph through the speaker. Hook set. Then I added the twist. But I don't want to just send a wire transfer. This is huge. I want to do it properly. I want both sets of parents there. I'll get a cashier's check for the exact amount and hand it to you at a celebratory dinner. Like a real symbolic moment for our new chapter. She was delirious. A public victory lap in front of both families? Better than she'd scripted. She thought it was romance. I was building the perfect stage for the reveal. The dinner happened last night. Private room, best steakhouse in the city. Claire and her parents on one side, my parents on the other. Claire was luminous. Her mother looked like she'd already spent the money in her head. Her dad, poor, clueless John, just looked proud of his little girl. We did the small talk, the toasts, the wine. Claire and her mom kept trading smug little glances. After the entrees were cleared, I stood. As everyone here knows, I invited you tonight for a reason. Claire and I are about to start our life together, and I want to begin it right. Claire, your student loans have weighed on you for years, and because I love you, I'm removing that weight. As my wedding gift, I am paying off every cent. $150,000 tonight. My parents beamed, genuinely moved. John clapped me on the back. Claire and her mother practically levitated. I opened the thick envelope at my side. Everyone leaned in expecting the cashier's check. Instead, I slid out an 11 by 17 glossy print of Claire's text. Don't stress. I'll have him committed before the wedding. The second he clears them, I'm out. I placed it face up in the center of the table. The room went dead silent. Claire turned the color of printer paper. Her mother's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. My parents stared, then looked at Claire with open revulsion. John read it, reread it, and the realization hit him like a freight train that I spoke into the silence, voice like steel. This was never a marriage. It was a hustle, and a pretty sophisticated one. Congratulations. I laid down thick packets, complete printouts of the entire conspiracy thread, and slid one stack to my parents, one to John. These should clear up any confusion. Claire started hyperventilating. Mark, no, baby, it's not what you think. There's nothing to misinterpret. I cut in. You spelled it out perfectly. Wedding's off. We're done. I looked at John. I'm sorry you had to see your daughter and your wife like this. One of us raised a partner. The other raised a grifter. I turned to my parents. Mom, Dad, we're leaving. We walked out while Claire's sobs echoed off the walls. By the time I reached the parking lot, my phone was exploding. I sent one reply to her frantic essay-length texts. No, Claire, you don't get to ruin my life. I just stopped funding yours. Movers had already boxed and delivered every belonging of hers to her parents' house while we ate. Locks changed, garage code wiped, Ring cameras set to ignore her face. She left one last unhinged voicemail from a private number the next morning, sobbing that she was coming to my parents' house, that they loved her, that they'd make me listen. She really thought tears still worked as currency. She had no idea who my father is. Final update: hey everyone, it's Mark, the original poster. The support after the first 2 posts was overwhelming, thank you. So many of you asked what happened when Claire inevitably showed up at my parents' door. It happened, and it was glorious. After the restaurant implosion, I went full no contact. Blocked her, her mother, all of it. My parents, however, became the final battlefield. Claire bombarded my mom with voicemails full of, "It was just a dumb joke." My mom pressured me. "We can fix this." My mom deleted them unheard that I warned my parents Claire's last threat had been exactly this. Showing up in person to work them. My dad's only response. "Let her come. I've got time." Saturday afternoon my dad called me, calm as ever. "Mark." The wrecking ball just pulled into the driveway. He put me on speaker and set the phone on the entry table like he was running a conference call. Doorbell. My mom opened it, voice arctic. "Claire, this is unexpected." Claire launched immediately into waterworks. "I'm so sorry to just show up. I just need you to hear me out." Mark's not thinking straight. He's throwing away everything over a stupid text that wasn't even serious. My dad stepped forward. "We read every text, Claire. All of them." More sobbing. "That was my mom. She's obsessed with the loans. She kept pushing and pushing. I just went along to shut her up." Dad let the tears run their course, then spoke. Quiet, measured, lethal. "I'm an architect, Claire. My son is an architect. Everything we build has to rest on something that will not shift. You don't pour a foundation on sand, and you don't build a life on calculated deception. What you and your mother designed wasn't a mistake. It was a blueprint. A technically impressive one, I'll give you that. Morally, disgusting." He continued, "You're not here to explain. You're here to see if my wife and I are a softer target than my son. We're not." Right on cue, another car rolled up. Claire's parents. John looking flustered, Susan wearing her concerned mom mask like armor. John started the reasonable dad routine. "We hate barging in like this, but our daughter is devastated. Mark may have overreacted." Dad cut him off. "Overreacted to a 6-month conspiracy to defraud my son of $150,000? I don't think so." John tried again. Susan was only trying to help Claire's anxiety about money. Dad smiled the way a wolf smiles. "Funny, because I spoke to our family attorney this morning. He finds conspiracy to commit fraud cases fascinating. Apparently forensic accountants can pull some very interesting threads when they start looking at joint accounts, phone records, Venmo trails. Amazing what turns up." The color drained from John's face. Susan actually gasped. Dad kept going. "So either you knew exactly what your wife and daughter were doing, which makes you complicit, or you were so checked out you missed a felony being planned at your own kitchen table. Neither version leaves you on high ground." Then he turned to Claire, final nail. "You hunted my son because you mistook decency for weakness. You will never speak to him again. If you try, we file for a restraining order tomorrow morning. Are we clear?" Dead silence. Dad's voice dropped to a whisper you could feel in your bones. "Now get off my property. You have a family meeting to attend, I imagine." Door closed. He picked up the phone. "Still with me, son?" "Yeah, Dad." Sights cleared. Nothing left standing. The bonus carnage. John lost it in the driveway. Apparently screamed at Susan that she destroyed their family for nothing. Susan screamed back that he was spineless. Claire stood there watching her entire safety net detonate in real time. John has now frozen Claire's credit cards and told her she's on her own. Their marriage is circling the drain. Claire is back under their roof in a war zone. No fiancé, no safety net, no cushy gallery job that can touch those loan payments, and the full $150,000 still very much hers. She didn't just lose a partner. She lost every parachute she'd ever packed. The perfect plan failed perfectly. Demolition complete.